Modern slavery? Man, it just happened to me. Those were Dennis Schroder's words just hours before his career took an unexpected brutal turn. An NBA trade can be ruthless, cold, and make players feel like they have no control over their own destiny. Dennis Schroder thought he had found his place, but what followed was one of the craziest stories of the NBA trade deadline. He was traded 4 times within 24 hours. Yes, you heard that right. 4 different teams in a single day. How did this happen? Was it just bad luck? Or was there something more behind it? Let's dive into the chaos of Dennis Schroder's whirlwind trade saga. The 2024 through 25 NBA season started with Schroder in Brooklyn, but his journey quickly turned into a rollercoaster ride. The Brooklyn Nets traded him to the Golden State Warriors in December, seemingly setting him up for a shot at another deep playoff run. However, he barely had the time to settle in before he was moved again. This time to the Utah Jazz as part of a massive 5-team deal that sent Jimmy Butler from Miami to Golden State. And just when it seemed like he'd stay put, boom, another trade. The Detroit Pistons swooped in and acquired him from Utah, marking his 4th team of the season. An exhausting cycle that left him frustrated and furious. This wasn't just business as usual for Schroder, it was personal, and it wasn't long before he spoke his mind without holding back. During a post-trade interview, Schroder didn't just express frustration, he compared the NBA's trade system to slavery. Dennis Schroder compares the NBA trade deadline to slavery. It's like modern-day slavery. It's modern slavery at the end of the day. Everybody can decide where you're going, even if you have a contract. Yeah, of course we can make a lot of money and feed our families, but at the end of the day, if they say, you're not coming to work tomorrow, you're going over there, they can decide that. They gotta change that a little bit. The comment immediately sent shockwaves through the league. Fans and analysts were divided, some agreeing with the sentiment, while others felt like he had gone too far. NBA players know the business side of the game. Trades happen. Contracts don't guarantee stability, but comparing it to slavery? That was bound to ignite a firestorm. The moment Dennis Schroder's words left his mouth, the internet erupted. Comparing the NBA trade deadline to modern slavery was bound to stir emotions. But no one, not even Schroder himself, could have predicted just how quickly the backlash would spiral out of control. Within hours, the comment was everywhere. Fans, analysts, and even fellow players wasted no time tearing into the veteran point guard. Some labeled his statement tone-deaf and outrageous, pointing out the absurdity of a multimillionaire athlete likening himself to someone who has no freedom or choice. Others didn't even bother with outrage. They just laughed. Because in what might be the most ironic twist of the NBA season, Schroder, who had just condemned the system for stripping players of control, was shipped off to another team less than 24 hours later. It was a brutal confirmation of the very reality he had railed against. One moment he was a Warrior, the next he was a Jazz. Just like that. For many, it was poetic justice. Fans resurfaced his infamous rejection of an $84 million contract extension and mocked his latest predicament. The internet did not hold back. Memes flooded social media, sarcastic jabs flew in every direction, and Schroder found himself at the center of one of the biggest viral moments of the trade deadline. But beyond the jokes, the situation sparked a larger debate. Was Schroder bitter about the business of basketball, or did his words highlight a real issue about player agency in the league? Did he have a point? Or did he just ensure that no front office would take him seriously ever again? Whatever the case, one thing was clear. The NBA world is watching, and Dennis Schroder had just made himself the main character of trade season. For Dennis Schroder, this season is both an opportunity and a warning. On one hand, he has a chance to prove himself yet again. Detroit is a young, rebuilding team, and if he can't provide leadership, he might carve out a stable role. But on the other hand, this trade frenzy sends a clear message. NBA teams no longer view Schroder as an essential piece of a championship puzzle. If he can't make a strong impression in Detroit, his value could take a significant hit, making his future in the league uncertain. The Pistons aren't exactly competing for a title, but they do have a young core that could benefit from Schroder's experience. If he embraces the role of a mentor and performs well, he could find himself securing a more permanent spot. However, if he struggles to find chemistry with his new team, or if Detroit simply sees him as a placeholder, he could be moved yet again. And at some point, that wears on a player. Dennis Schroder has now played for 4 teams this season. At what point does the NBA start looking at him as just an expiring contract rather than a player who can truly impact a team? Schroder's journey is dramatic, but it's also a symptom of a larger trend in the NBA. Players are moving more than ever. Gone are the days when stars spent their careers with one franchise. Now, players, whether superstars or solid role players, are constantly at risk of being moved if a better deal comes along. And if it could happen to Schroder, it could happen to just about anyone. As a trade deadline looms, more names will be thrown around in trade talks. More players will wake up not knowing if they'll still be on the same team by the time the sun sets. It's an unforgiving reality of the league, but one that players must accept. Dennis Schroder's story isn't just about one player. It's about the brutality of the NBA trade market. It's about how quickly a player's value can shift, how unstable careers can become, and how little control even seasoned veterans sometimes have over their own futures. So what's next? Will Detroit be the team that finally gives Schroder some stability? Or is this just another stop on a never-ending journey? One thing's for sure, if there's one player who knows how to adapt to a new situation, it's Dennis Schroder. And if he can rise to the occasion, this chaotic season might just become the turning point that puts his career back on track. But if not, don't be surprised if we see him traded again before the season ends.